कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है कि जिंदगी तेरी जुल्फों की नर्म छाँव में गुजर न पाती तो शादाब हो भी सकती थी। ये रंज व गम की सियाही जो दिल पे छाई है तेरी नज़रों की शुआओं में खो भी सकती थी। मगर ये हो ना सका, मगर ये हो ना सका और अब ये आलम है कि तू नहीं, तेरा गम, तेरी जुस्तजू भी नहीं। गुजर रही है जिंदगी कुछ इस तरह मेरी, इससे किसी के सहारे की आरजू भी नहीं। ना कोई राह, ना मंजिल, ना रोशनी का सुराग, भटक रही है अंधेरों में जिंदगी मेरी, और इन्हीं अंधेरों में रह जाऊंगा कभी खोकर। मैं जानता हूं मेरी हम नफस, मगर यूं ही कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है। Hi guys, I'm Tahir Shabir, and you might be wondering why I have used this beautiful poetry to begin my talk. Well, it's because it's extremely poignant to my life. The girl that Sahir Saab is mentioning in this beautiful poem, who's actually, and Sahir Saab is one of my most favorite lyric writer and poets, is cinema to me. And cinema to me is everything in my life. It entails everything from my relationships to my family to my friends, and obviously a lifesaver. So I would like to start. I would like to take this opportunity to start with my childhood, because I'm guessing you guys, most of you guys, were watching the 160 million of Indian youth in our country, who's going to be like the future. Well, most of us are really excited, and we are young, and we're at the cusp of moving ahead. So I want to start with the childhood, which you guys have just passed, and I'm about 4 or 5 years older than you. So my childhood was beautiful. I mean, I was really pampered in my house and everything. But I grew up in a modest house in Bindi Bazaar, Bombay. Mein, it's called a chawl. It's a 10 by 10 feet room, which has your bathroom and your kitchen and your little living room with a small refrigerator and a small TV. And if you're lucky like me, later on in life, we had an air conditioner and telephone. So life was lovely, you know, till you're home and you're cocooned and your dad used to come and drop you. But because there was we were not that fortunate, you know, with many other things. So when I used to go to school, come back, there used to be a lot of other things that happened. I saw a lot of darkness. I saw some pedophilia. Luckily, nothing happened in a very big way where I could be scarred, but I was scarred enough either way. And then I was also beaten a lot. I was extremely bullied as a child. And all those things had adverse effects on me, and especially being bullied, because when there are three people coming and hitting you and beating you to pulp and breaking your bones, I mean, if anyone has gone through that would know it's a terrible feeling. And I was an introvert, and to protect me, and I made this beautiful kavach around me. Kavach is coating of protection. And from my 14th year onwards, I became a street fighter myself, and I started to counter everything that was happening to me. That said was the backdrop of the darkness that was in my life, which is one of our topics today, right? It is constructive chaos, and chaos is something that is in all of our lives, whether we want it, don't want it. We cannot ignore chaos. Chaos is always going to be there. It's going to be in our families, in our friends, in the work we do, and especially in college, right? I'm sure you guys have chaos around you, and we see so much chaos happening around us, whether it's political or social. We know all the things that are going on. I don't want to delve in that right now. But talking about chaos, right? All the chaos that was happening in my life, I hope it's relatable to you. Whilst I was growing up, I just thought there was one savior, because even with whatever little poverty we saw in this place that we lived, we made sure, my family always made sure that there was movies. And I remember as a kid, when I would go and sit in the cinema, and there was this darkness, and I would see the silver screen light up, and I was like, wow, what is this? What it did is it took me away from my issues and my misery and my darkness, and it put me in a dream world. Speaking of dreams, we all dream, right? And everyone's like, we gotta go get our dreams, and let's make the dream come true, and all of that. And I always wondered as a kid, you know, when other people used to talk to me about these things, like me, I'm feeling so honored to be here, thank you. And I used to be like, yeah, how people talk about dreams, how do you get them, you know? And I read a lot, and I see a lot of videos myself. And what happened is, what I realized when I was young, is that I made that true passion that I had for cinema, because cinema changed me. It gave me that. It was not only a dream, it became a part of my life, because I was like, the only way I could combat darkness in life was with this purpose, which was my purpose of cinema. And I was too young, so when I went and told anybody, I said, hey bro, I'm going to be, if I spoke about acting, I was like, I'm going to be on a hoarding. And people were like, shut up bro, tera kuch nahi hoga, chup. You know, people will be like, nothing's going to happen with you. And I was like, why are these guys saying this to me? Because I'm going to go and do it, man. And people used to really laugh at me when I was growing up. And I used to sit in my father's shop, my father's sweet shop in Pindi Bazaar. Please come. It's called Shabir's Tawakkul Sweets. It's beautiful, and I used to sit there, and I used to love that too. But when I was joining BMM, that's my course, Bachelor of Maja Masti, Mass Media. Sorry. So my dad was like, "Beta, after this you got to join the shop," and I was like, "But Father, I love this, but I was born to do cinema." And he's like, "No, that was your childhood thing. That was something that you dreamed of when you were a kid. Now you're growing up." And apart from him, and my dad's really supportive. My parents have always been. But they really wanted, nobody could understand why I wanted to do this, and there was, and so that is a different kind of chaos, right? Because you love people, there'll be people who love you, and when people who don't love you, they don't care about you, that's okay, that kind of pressure is fine. But it's harder when people who love you, especially your parents, your brother, your sister, some cousin who you love, they tell you, "Beta, don't do this." And this, I'm talking about myself, and I'm an artist, right? It could happen anyway. If you want to become a doctor, you want to be a librarian, whatever you want to be, or for example, even if you don't want to do anything, even that's all right. But whatever you want to do, whatever your passion, whatever your purpose in life is, you got to do. And when it came to me, I was facing opposition since I was a kid. Since I was a little boy, I said, "You used to play." And there's a natural reflex of anybody who cares about you and anybody who doesn't care about you. They'll always want to say no. So so what happened to me is that I was like, one second, if I'm not going to be happy, how are they going to be happy, right? So I came up with a simple principle, which I didn't come up then. I can coin it now because I'm doing a talk. So it is called WAC, not WHAC WAC, but WAC, like WAC WAC. The full form of which is way of life, attitude, and the last one being the most important one actually is called choices. So what happened is, I just want to explain this so that in the course of my story you get a clearer picture. What happens in choices is in life is that it's easy when you get a bad choice and a good choice. Say if you like Toblerone, if you get a Cadbury, you like Toblerone more, you'll eat the Toblerone, no problem. But what happens when you get two Toblerones? You know what I mean? And you can only take one, and you love both equally. Maybe there's two different flavors, but they're both. So for example, your daddy is telling you to do something and your life is taking you elsewhere. Like there's a big personal decision and there's a big professional decision. You want to do both. It's not like you want to upset anybody. You have to do both. You're like, I want to do this also, I want to do this. I want to go to Hawaii also, I want to go to Maldives also. But you can't. You have to make that one choice, which is why I think choices will make you. People say, and that's why I just hope I'm relatable, because I never understood when people said, "Your choices make you, brothers." And I'm like, okay. So I understood it, as I started working, I realized, because there's so many things that happen to you, like now I can do this or I can do this. Either I can direct this job or I can produce this job, or I can produce this job and I can act into, I want to do everything, but you got to make that choice. And that choice needs to begin now, because you guys are the 160 million, which is a very important statistic. I keep saying that because I'm like, wow, we're going to be a country full of young people, and let's just galvanize and kill it, you know what I mean? So for me, again coming back to me, so for me, when I was growing up, those choices kept happening. Whether I had a choice of getting into my father's business or starting this. Luckily there's my angel brother who helped me a lot, and I did what I did, and I told my father, I said, "Dad, I will be a lot more helpful later on in life when I make it myself in the business than I'll be now. Let me go, give me 10 years, I'll come back." And now I lost my dad 3 years, but I hope he's proud of whatever we're doing, my brother and I. So it's all come around, and I'm still being man of my word, right? I did whatever I told my dad, and I'm doing, because you are the best judge of knowing what you're going to do. I mean, may we get a long life, we don't know how long we're going to live, but if you know today that yes, I want to do this, and I'm not giving you the, like everybody used to tell me, he said, "Bro, you go get what you want, be a go-getter." Yes, that's great. I mean, it's a great motivational talk, but the thing is, what people don't understand is some people don't like to do anything. I know some friends who just don't want to do anything, which is also fine. Yeah, if you're happy doing nothing, if you're living a lot of people talk about mediocrity, mediocre life. Some people like it, no problem. And also, why they also keep saying only the 2% make it. Yeah, yes. Like for example, if you want to count me in somebody who's like, if I from the pits of problems to coming here where I am today, I have come because I have decided that I did not want to do any kind of mediocrity. I did not want to be somebody who will be lost in the pages of history. So I said, okay, I'm going to fight. When I was in school, very interesting story again, and I decided to only talk about my childhood. I don't want to go get into the films because that's information is available. So when I was a kid, I had a very interesting story. It affected me a lot and that's why I've become what I've become. Because in my school, the top ranking students would always be the best guy in the drama. He would be the guy who would be singing. He'd be the guy who would be doing all the sport. He'd be made school captain. And I'm like, what about me, man? Why doesn't anybody want to give the chance to the guy who's maybe not great in academics, but he's great in a lot of other things, which is why I became a scout and a president scout then at the end of it, because I was like, I need to excel in things that I'm good. So I mean, to put a long story short, if you decide three things, one is your way of life, right? Your way of life will include your purpose. You need to figure out your purpose and then live a life which will get you there. It's all about longevity. You can't be like, I want to become a star and I'll see a star, or I want to become a doctor, and then later on be like, Arey, nahi, I don't want to be a doctor. You take your time. Do nothing if you want to. And this is my advice, you don't really have to do it. But if you want to, just once you find your purpose, think about a longevity. You know, and they used to keep saying, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I used to be like, what is all this when I was a kid? But now I understand why that makes sense, because you have to last long enough to see the beauty of what you really want to do. You know, and so for me, it is the way of life that I chose is a life of making people happy. The reason why I'm talking to you is because it excites me. Is because for me, acting was never about fame. It was never about the money. It's about what cinema gave to me when I was a kid. I want to give it back. You know, I want to do everything that I can to make you happy. Similarly, if I can, if they even 2% or 5% of you understand what I'm saying, I wish you guys do it. And your attitude, when it is whack, when it is your way of life, then it is your attitude. Keep your attitude at a level which makes you happy, because ultimately happiness is a choice in itself, right? So your attitude should always be about your intent, how you started doing something, whatever you choose to do, whether you want to be a doctor, you want to be an actor, you want to be a astrophysicist, whatever you want to be, keep your intent clear. And most important thing, like I said, just make sure that the choices that you make, you stick by. Don't ever regret your choices, because that's what makes you what you are today. And keep loving people. I think this world needs the chaos that we are in. It needs a lot more love. And let's hope, I mean, whatever little I've done in my life and whatever little I could speak today with you makes a difference to your life. And I can't wait to come back to you again and share many more anecdotes. But as for this one, just remember, please find your purpose in your way of life. Please keep your attitude and your intent. And lastly, the choices will define you. And may happiness recreate, and all the work that we do recreate this world, and we avoid chaos eventually and completely. Thank you.